Greetings, people of the world! Matthew back with you here in Overall Autism for the continuation of Let's Play Final Fantasy XIV on Realm Reborn. It is Year 2, Day 70 for EDSS in the Realm Reborn. And last time, we started on the main story of patch 2.5 by trying to help out the Crystal Braves bring to justice a certain person dealing in black market weapons. However, the challenge that we were trying to do did not go as planned, and there seemed to be some conflicting reports on what the Braves gave us. Hopefully, this will be something that we can rectify later. But for now, Tataru has asked us to come back to the Rising Stones in order to speak with a representative from Ishgard. So let's speak with Tataru to take on the next challenge entitled The Rising Chorus. Tataru seems eager to escort you to the Solar. Our guest is with the antecedent in the Solar present. Let's not keep them waiting any longer, shall we? I would wholeheartedly agree with you there, Tataru. So, in we go. Well, yes, I was right. From the end of the previous episode, it looks like Lucia wants to speak with us. As well, Urianger and Mumbreda are also here. So, let's speak with Lady Minfilia to continue.
We have a guest from Ishgard who wishes to speak with you.
Oh, we already know who it is, there, Lady Minfilia.
I believe the two of you have met.
Oh, yes, we have.
We have. I had hoped to speak with Commander Leveilleur as well, but I cannot afford to wait any longer. The Lord Commander sent me hither to request your aid in a matter of grave import.
You see now why I had Tataru summon you.
Does this have to do with your Ascian experiment?
Now that we're all assembled, perhaps you would be good enough to elaborate on the nature of the matter which brought you to us.
The Observatorium's astrologians have sounded the alarm.
Oh, what happened?
Last night, the Dragon Star burned with an intensity not seen in 15 summers. Not since the Dravanians engaged the Empire in the Battle of Silvertear Skies.
The northern sky doth burn full bright upon the Wormlord's call. The red behemoth beckoneth, and flame consumeth all.
The old Curthan rhyme, aye.
Oh, Urianger, ever the scholar.
The brightening of the Dragon Star is said to accompany the roar of a great worm. The astrologians believe that it was Midgardsormr himself who cried out on this occasion.
After
that name has been mentioned before.
Centuries, the King of Kings did return to lead his kind against the might of Garlemald, only to fall in his duel with the Agrius, proud flagship of the Garlean fleet. Devoid of life, his corpse remaineth entwined about the Magitek monstrosity even unto this day.
Urianger has the right of it. Whatever this alteration in the Dragon Star portends, the Great Worm has shown no sign of life. Tataru, have the Domans reported aught out of the ordinary?
Yeah, that'll be a no.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but if Midgardsormr had roared, wouldn't we have heard it here in Revenant's Toll?
Maybe it's because we're not believers that we can't hear him.
Roar is but a figure of speech. Dravanians can communicate in ways beyond our ken. It is for this very reason that we are forced to look for signs in the heavens. We cannot say with any confidence that a great worm roared at all, much less that it was Midgardsormr. Only by directly examining the Keeper of the Lake can we be certain. However, it will take too long to gain the Holy See's approval to dispatch the Temple Knights.
So that's why we're
Therefore,
here.
Sir Emric would entrust this task to you. Do you accept?
Was there ever any doubt?
We knew you would not disappoint us. Now, if you would excuse me, I must return and assist the Lord Commander. We have precious little time to prepare.
Of course.
To prepare for what, pray tell?
When a great worm roars, his brethren cannot choose but answer. We prepare for battle.
But aren't you always battling there, Lucia? Just putting it out there. But yes, we know now what we must do next. Forgive me if I state aught which you already know, but I would sure that you fully understand the nature of your destination. As Oriange stated, what we now call the Keeper of the Lake is the wreckage of the Agrius, former flagship of the Imperial fleet, and the corpse of the worm responsible for its destruction. 15 years ago, as the next step in his campaign to subjugate Eorzea, Gaius van Balsar attempted to seize control of Morderna. So massive was his force that all thought his victory was a foregone conclusion. But an unlikely ally came to Eorzea's aid that day. Midgardsormr, legendary guardian of Silvertear Falls, burst forth from beneath the waters of the lake and led a host of dragons against the Garlean airships overhead. So is he actually on our side? In what would later become known as the Battle of Silvertear Skies, the Great Worm felled countless airships before engaging the Agrius. In the ensuing struggle, the flagship's Thulium engines failed, and it tumbled into the lake below. Yet this victory came at a great cost, for the explosion which followed claimed the life of the Great Worm as well. That same explosion transformed Silvertear Falls into the desolate wasteland it is today, draining the lake of its waters and crystallizing aether from moons around. Yet a remnant of the lake remains, and at its center a constant reminder of that fateful day long ago. In accordance with Sir Amaric's wishes, our Doman allies have been standing watch over the Keeper of the Lake. It would be wise to speak with them before investigating the wreckage yourself. Be careful, my friend. We know not what dangers await you within. Now then, let us not neglect our own tasks. There is much to be done and precious little time to do it. I will agree wholeheartedly with that. And so, yes, it's time for us to make our way over to what is known as Silvertear Falls. That area has actually been in a location that we've been to before, so once we head out of Revenant's Toll, we'll start making our way there. Or once we make our way out of the Rising Stones, we will make our way there, of course. So yeah, what we're heading to next is actually going to be the last of a significant milestone available in the game's main story. As I mentioned before, this patch 2.5 is the last part of the main story, so obviously what we're going to be doing here is very important. So, we now head to the east. We're actually going in the direction of St. Coinix Fine, but that's not quite where we're going. That's not quite where it is. So yeah, you can see the crystallized aether. It was discussed in the conversation, so I actually even showed it off in day 68, YouTube day 68 just a few days ago. Showing you just exactly how much crystals have become a part of this game. So we want to now make our way along the lake here. And we're going to have to, by the looks of it, deal with a snake or two. Where's our target? Okay, it's down here. Okay. Well then, let's get off my chocobo. And if these guys want to dance, I'll oblige them. Yep, this one wants to play, so let's play. I will not keep him waiting. You're down. Alright. Okay, so over here we speak with this Doman refugee and see what he has to say. Your Luxa, I was about to send word to Revenant's Toll about the Garleans. Of late, I've seen small airships, likely from Castrum Sentry, come and go from the Keeper of the Lake, though I cannot say for certain at this distance. I believe they may be salvaging something from within the wreckage. The Castrum supply lines have been cut for some time, and I'd wager they're desperately in need of spare parts and other equipment. Well, that's why I'm here. So it is true then. The Ishgardians honestly fear that the worm might rise again. And even as the fog rolls in. Well, from here that seems rather unlikely, yeah, considering the fog rolled in. But if it's assurances they want, you've no choice but to inspect the corpse in its entirety. Easier said than done, given the creature which inhabit the wreckage. and the aforementioned Garleans who won't take kindly to your presence. Yeah, they'll be out for revenge, no question. They're sure to fire upon their ships, so I'd advise a more stealthy approach. Take this ship and a few of your comrades to the base of the Agrius, then climb to the top. That's the only viable approach, I'd say. And so, we now have access to the last main story dungeon of the game, the Keeper of the Lake. And so, we now can go ahead and access it, but first we must say goodbye to my Chocobo Lanza, because of course he can't come with me here. I have to do this with myself and 3 other people. So, I'm satisfied with the way everything looks. So, let's go ahead and activate the Duty Finder for the last main story dungeon in the game. And I'll be back with you in a moment, once we get inside. And so, we have arrived. This is the last main story dungeon in the game. And we'll have a lot to deal with here at the Keeper of the Lake, where myself and 3 others will take this place on. So I need to notify the party that it is my first time. At least it is with Edie here. Of course, I've been here before. So, let's see how well we do. Off we go. Now that we're on the other side of the lake, it's time for us to take on the enemies here. So, the enemies start out pretty easy. For the first part of Keeper of the Lake, you're just fighting natural enemies. Enemies that are palitrops of enemies that we've faced before. Enemies that we have had to deal with on more than a few occasions. Like these crabs, we've seen crabs like this in many places. We've seen them in dungeons like Sasasha Hard mode. I can't remember if we actually came across them in other dungeons. Maybe it's just this and Sasasha Hard mode. But yeah, this place really limits you on the big amount of pulls that you can do. You can only clear a certain number of enemies before you are allowed passage to the next area. And so here is a new threat, Son of the Keeper. And everything else is pugils, which we've seen before. We've also seen goblins in places like Copperbell Mines. We've also had to... Oh, did I avoid that AoE? I did. Good. And, the Lake Nanka. Yeah, we've seen the Ninki Nanka over at Hellbreaker Isle. So lots of things that you're going to see here are reintroductions of enemies that we have come across on many occasions over the course of our journeys here in this game. Yeah, it's hard to believe that we're now into the last part of the main story for Final Fantasy XIV A Realm Reborn, and that this will soon be over. But of course, as far as Final Fantasy XIV is concerned, we are far from over. Because if you've seen my video that features the update that I mentioned in regards to wanting to do a special video for when I get to 1,000 videos, by the way, I'm still looking for suggestions from you guys. There's lots of opportunities still for you guys to have a look at my videos, offer some suggestions on what you want to see me put in there. What are some of your favorite moments? Let me know, because I really want to hear from you guys. It's high time I gave you guys an opportunity to really get involved in my videos, because you've been with me for over 2.5 years now. I feel like this is an opportunity for you guys to really shine here and show me why you came to watch my videos in the first place. You deserve to have your favorite moments shown in this video that I plan to do when I get to 1,000. And so now, oh, that's up as a frog. We've seen quite a few big frogs, most notably at Orm Vale, where if you got nailed by their jumping attack, that killed you in one move. And already, we are at the mini-boss, the first mini-boss here. This guy, he is quite a unique situation here. The Einhander, if you're... What the mini-bosses do here in Keeper of the Lake is that they are reminders of how you would fight in past dungeons. if you remember back to our time doing the hard mode of Grey Fox's Long Stop, Einhander actually kind of deals in this particular way. When bombs hit the field, you want to clear them away so that you can make sure that if they explode, any damage against you is either minimized or none at all. And that really is the main thing you have to concern yourself with. Other than that, it's just an opportunity for you to really go for broke. You can really burn the boss down because there's going to be no ads that will come into play as we're doing this. All you have to do is just focus on what you're doing, and if a saluting tank gets too close, knock it away. But, a bit of a forewarning. From time to time, Einhander will use a suction move that will bring all saluting tanks on the field towards himself. So you have to be careful about when that happens, because you could end up finding yourself on the wrong end of an explosion that will wipe out your party. And so, yep, there's the move. That was the move. Thankfully, we had our people on our party all over it. Reacted swiftly and effectively, and that's what you're supposed to do when you get all the tanks surrounding you. Einhander makes that move. Get the tanks away from you as fast as you can. Those ones do not really bother me that much. Ooh. Team effort there to prevent those tanks from exploding because they almost did. You kind of dodged a bullet there, but as you can see, yeah, you notice where all the tanks are. There's also this really huge one too. That can knock off at any cost. So, all the while you're doing this, make sure you're avoiding AoE. Make sure you're avoiding any special attacks that the boss will do. And if you can get away from having a single saluting tank detonate, you've done well. Stand by. Trying to spread them out. Oh, didn't get them all spread out. Couple stick around. But we've done well enough to prevent a single tank from exploding, and thus victory is ours. First mini-boss down. Yeah, if you just treat that fight like the final boss of Grey Fox's Long Stop hard mode, you'll be fine. So now on to the second part of Keeper of the Lake. I mentioned we were moving on to the Agrius' quarter deck because, yeah, here's where we're going to start fighting Garlean soldiers again. And it's the first time in a long time that we've actually fought Garlean soldiers in a dungeon environment. So this is the sixth order of the Garlean soldiers, the Garlean army. So we got to deal with their enemies like you would if you were in Castle Meridianum or in Praetorium. Right. Now to the Vanguard, the big guy. Now, the Secutor doesn't worry me as much as the Vanguard does because, of course, the big guys, they're worth the most damage. Can we take him out in time? Yes, okay. Vanguard drops an identification key. We can take it. You use it over here at the Magitek terminal, and that'll disperse this force field. And away we go again. And so now we're going to run into a situation where there's still enemies behind force fields, but now you have to be careful because you run the risk of getting yourself in trouble. Now, as we're seeing, this can be done one of two ways. You can either take care of the Magitek Colossi now by destroying the field inductor and having the field force fields disperse, or you can just take care of the little guys first and then destroy the inductor. As you can see here, our tank has decided to go full-blown and just make the intention to destroy the inductor now. So it is almost destroyed. On its next hit, it's down, which means we now get a crack at the Colossus. And you can even hear the the sound, the alarm that the Garlean Empire uses. They use those in Castle Meridianum and Praetorium. And then look out. So stay behind the tank. Send this rain strike his way. He's able to dodge it. And soon Colossus will be chopped down to size. There we go. Alright. On to our next section. So we have to now do the same thing again. Colossus behind the force field. Big little guys to deal with as well. Alright, so here we go. Yeah, a little group attack is coming your way. Taking it to the Licarius. As well as his little friends, Centurion and the Signifier. So far, we're doing a really good job of staying away from the big bad Colossus AoE. Finish it! Yes, okay. Over to the field inductor to allow the Colossus to go free because he actually has the key that we need to allow us to continue on. Because as you notice, there is a second force field, and the only way to break that second force field is to get the key that is inside of the Colossus. Yeah, look out there, Summoner. Stay clear of that one. You don't want to be on the receiving end. In fact, you don't want to be on the receiving end of any of this guy's attacks because they are pretty devastating. Not lethal, but it's devastating nonetheless. Look out for the exhaust. Jump once, jump twice. Continue. Now we're getting this guy down pretty good. I have to say we're making pretty good time, I would have to say. I think this is a decent enough group that we can really just run roughshod through this place. Alright. There's our healer over at the place to deactivate the force field, and so now that it's down, we now make our way to our next area. So the Garleans have saved their best for last, if you will. This Magitek gunship is our second mini-boss. Now, something that I have not shown over the course of this Let's Play, but an optional location you go into is something known as the Binding Coil of Bahamut. This is actually something that I showed off in a featured video back quite a number of months ago of me clearing the last part of the Binding Coil of Bahamut for the first time. And the way this fight conducts itself is that it almost fights like the fifth turn of the Binding Coil of Bahamut, because there's all this fire AoE that you're going to have to contend with, and on top of that, because since I'm melee, I have to run through it. Yeah, from time to time the gunship will do these streaks of fiery AoE, including a flamethrower. In fact, I'm going to limit break now. Yeah, and don't worry, the rings of fire will go away after a period of time, but now we have Azon on the field. So now we got to deal with them too. So, we're gonna make short work of these guys so that they're not giving us a hard time. And watch where you're staying when the flamethrower is in play, because it's very touchy on where you're standing. Like, you can be standing not actually in the AoE when it's first indicated, but you could still be considered to be getting burned by the flamethrower. Alright, so the summoner's been targeted, so he has to try and distance himself as best he can. And once again we got separated, which means I have to once again run through the fire in order to get access to the gunship. Yeah, these streaks of fire rings, they are not the best things in the world to be running through. But once you get out of them, you no longer are suffering a damage debuff. Look out there, tank. And now we got a Vanguard on the field. Now we have to deal with him. And it looks like, yeah, the It's gonna set up for going... Gunship goes across the field once again. Oh great, now I've been targeted. Now I gotta run. I gotta run here. I gotta run or else I'm gonna get killed. But really, in all seriousness, the pattern you see there, that's the best way you can really minimize the effect of the fire AoE. The way we've got it set up, as much, if you can put it around the perimeter as much as possible, that will really set you up in the best position to avoid it altogether. Oh, here it comes again. Alright, we got the Vanguard down. Okay, it looks like it's gonna go that way. Yeah, that's as good as you can get it. That's as well as you can do that. Yeah, you really cannot do it better than what we did here in this fight. When he goes to doubles, just continue to put it around the perimeter, and you won't have to worry about it. So that's too many bosses down. Play for the various items. Am I gonna get all 4? Clean sweep! Wow! I was not expecting that. Especially since that equipment I don't need. In fact, none of us were actually able to need it. All we could do was play greed on it. So now, the gunship, not daunted yet, is now going to manifest itself as the first part of this place and the third part of this place now combine to give us this last section here at Cooper of the Lake. We gotta give chase because there's now gonna be a whole bunch of dragons out on the field. Dragons, dragonflies, behests. We've run into behests before, the various lizard versions of them we've run into. And all at the same time, watch out for those things because that's the Magitek gunship attacking you. If it's about to attack, get out of its way. And that can be said for really anything, for that matter. And it's just a matter of dodging these silver falcons, these loyal behests. And I know what you're thinking, like, who are the behests loyal to? The Dravanians? To Midgardsormr? Or are they loyal to the Garleans? Well, they're actually loyal to Midgardsormr. And we'll explain why that is once we're... Well, I think it pretty much speaks for itself. Because Midgardsormr's soul is residing here. His corpse is entwined around this structure that we're currently standing on. And so now more of the ads to take care of. And yeah, you can see the gunships right there, hovering about all the time. So yeah, this is really the only place in the entire dungeon where you really can bring all the enemies together at once. This place does a really good job of trying to minimize you from doing that. I think that the game designers, when they saw that people could just do incredible pulls of a high amount of monsters in a number of dungeons, like Weight Block's Long Stop Hard Mode, they really took note of that and they said, hey, you know what, we should minimize this because we don't want people speed running as much as we want them to. So let's try and make sure we stay out of the way out of the danger of the AoE from the Magitek gunship. And into the air, splat. Right, looks like we got them all. So now, the Magitek gunship's last move is actually going to be to clear us a path to make our way to the final boss, whose name is unknown. So what exactly are we going to be up against? As we approach, we see 2 dragons that are already dead.
Who treadeth now upon my bones, and waketh me from slumber sweet?
Yeah, and that would be the voice of Midgardsormr. Yeah, he's got his eyes fixated on us.
Thou hast forgotten the face of thy lord. Remember, mortal, and fear me.
I don't think we're here to fear you. It seems very obvious that you come here to fight us. And so yeah, we're going to be fighting the spirit of Midgardsormr as our final boss. But Midgardsormr is not actually the main target of this battle. If you remember back to day 68, when we fought against the Cerberus in level 6 of the World of Darkness, what we had to do was we had to take care of some other things in order to get more damage dealt on the boss. And that's what happens here. Like, Midgardsormr will not take much damage. What happens is that he will bring these two dragon corpses back from the dead, and now you have to fight them. And there is a very important trick that you have to use. Notice our tank has run to the perimeter, to the far end. You actually have to do that because if you can see this laser that is currently connected to the Mirage Dragon and Midgardsormr, the closer the Mirage Dragon is to Midgardsormr, the stronger it will be. So you actually have to get it to the far end of the battlefield and keep away from Midgardsormr in order to ensure that the Mirage Dragon takes more damage. But that's not the only thing you have to worry about in here. There's a lot of unique AoE like this blue ring over here, this blue half ring, this blue half moon here. That's AoE damage that you need to concern yourself with. Yeah, there's going to be AoE all over the place in this fight. They're going out with a bang. And speaking of going out with a bang, this new add-on on the field, Estrella, you now have to kill it. And you only have a limited amount of time to do so. So to kill Estrella, and then once you get that message from Midgardsormr, activate the Magitek field generator that Estrella dropped, and then, once Midgardsormr unleashes his ultimate attack, you take no damage. Thus, you can continue to focus on the Mirage Dragon. Now, as you may have noticed, as I said before, there are two dragon corpses out on the field, which means this pattern will happen again. This pattern will happen again, so you have to be ready to get yourself in position to start dealing with the other dragon once you kill off the Mirage Dragon. Now watch Midgardsormr's health. From near full to pretty much now towards half health. That's what it takes to take out Midgardsormr. The majority of the damage comes from taking out his dragon companions, not from attacking Midgardsormr himself. And so now he brings up his second dragon, but unlike the first dragon, you cannot take this one to the far end of the field. This one works in an opposite manner. In order to minimize its influence, you actually have to bring it right into Midgardsormr's face. And those three rings there of fire, you don't want to be standing in those. So yeah, you want to get this second Mirage Dragon right up into Midgardsormr's face. And then, just keep going. Just keep going, because the damage will now be minimized. Or the effect of Midgardsormr to this Mirage Dragon will be minimized. Watch out for those line AoEs because they are very bountiful here. And then we got another half moon, this one on the inside rather than on the outside. But yeah, you're gonna start seeing AoE just everywhere. They don't mess around in this place, but of course, this being the last main story dungeon of the game, what we would expect. Okay, Estrella returns to the field. We now have to focus our attention on it. Right. Activate Magitek field generator. Oh, we're going to be right in the middle of this AoE, but thankfully we're standing in this protective dome, so, as a result, no damage taken at all from anything. But once the Magitek field generator goes out, then once again you are vulnerable. So, just focus on Mirage Dragon. Ooh, look out! Look out for the triple ring of fire. And away we go again. So you almost got the Mirage, this second Mirage Dragon beat. Oh, more AoE. Don't worry, there's plenty to go around. Maybe too much. Oh, didn't want to target Midgardsormr because, yeah, while the Mirage Dragons are out on the field, he can't take damage. So you have to keep attacking the dragons. Now that those two dragons are gone, let's limit break Midgardsormr to finish him off. Worth it! so, down he goes. And victory is ours. And so, there we go. I'd say we did very well in this place. So thank you very much everyone for your support. However, we are not quite yet done with this place. Now that we have completed Keeper of the Lake, we're going to have another cutscene take place. And this one will pretty much turn this game upside down. Everything you knew about this game is about to change.
By her gifts hast thou earned a moment's reprieve.
And of course, Spirit of Midgardsormr not going anywhere. Yet. Yeah, once again, his fossilized remains are glowing.
Speak, mortal, and I shall listen.
Well, will we tell you what you actually want to hear?
Guided by a star.
You don't believe me?
My people have heard the song. Ishgard shall burn.
Uh-oh. That's not good for the people in Kerthus.
Sons must answer for their father's misdeeds. We do not forget. We do not forgive.
Sound familiar? That's the kind of rhetoric Iceheart was speaking.
7 children did I sire. One now singeth of retribution.
Uh-oh.
I rise to join in the chorus.
Well, we stopped your spirit, but now can we stop your shout?
Art powerless to silence us, mortal. Yet thou shalt not live to labor in vain. Thy reprieve is at an end.
That doesn't sound good, and there's a reason for that.
Trickery is thy shield. This frail, ignoble creature is not gifted, but chosen.
Warrior of Light at your service.
Hearken to me, Hydaelyn. I remember, and I consent.
Now, like, what is he talking about with Hydaelyn?
Fear not, mortal. I shall not harm thee.
But... yeah, now what's going on? Well, what he does next? Yeah. It looks pretty bad. And that's because it actually is. Remember back to year 1? When we had those 6 crystals from the primals to assist us in gaining our enhanced power as Warrior of Light? Well, I hope you enjoyed them. I hope you remembered them. Because now... they're out of gas. Courtesy of Midgardsormr. Everything we worked hard for, everything we strived for, is now gone. The Warrior of Light is no more. And when we come to...
Mayhap thou thinkest me an oath breaker. Thou art mistaken. If thou comest to harm, it shall be by another's hand, not mine.
You're like, stop speaking riddles.
But strip thee of thy mistress's feeble blessing.
Yeah, we know.
Thou didst profit much by her grace, but no more.
Yeah, we lose Heidelin, and instead, this is what we get in its place. What we get is a little baby version of Midgardsormr.
Binds me to thee. I shall watch, listen, and wait. Fight and struggle, if it be thy will. Man hath ever coveted that which lieth beyond his grasp. I drink of her body, and thence doth mine own find life. When it hath grown whole, the loyal and penitent shall rejoice.
You know who he's speaking about, right?
The dragon song heraldeth our beginning and an end.
Yeah, so this means we are no longer the Warrior of Light. We have now been branded by Midgardsormr as a Dravanian. In other words, he is now our master. And so now, the people in Kerthus and Ishgard, who have been speaking so highly of us and championing us as their hero, well, it's going to be a sad day when they find out that of no free will of our own, we've been branded traitor. So, yeah, that's certainly a lot to take in, but believe me, the worst is yet to come. So, with that, I'd like to thank everyone for watching the continuation of Let's Play Final Fantasy XIV: A Realm Reborn. And when I join you again, we will continue on here in the main story of patch 2.5, now stripped of the title of Warrior of Light. So until next time, everyone, this is Matthew at Novora Autism, saying take care, and I'll see you soon.